First of all, let's just get this out of the way. Yes, I have a very extremely red shirt. Like this is the reddest shirt I've ever seen. It didn't look this red in normal light, but something with my ring light, I look like one of those markers that you would smell and it smelled like cherries. That I look like a marker. I look this is too red. That's all I feel like that should be the description online when you buy the shirt. This shirt is too red. But that's all I have, and I am wearing it because it describes how red my face got last week when Tom Brady beat the Cowboys. First of all, Cowboys fans, I am so sorry. I have to apologize to the entire NFL except for the Giants. Giants fans, you still not even the fans. I'm nothing against the fans. Basically, I talked about it last week, but Eli Manning and whoever, David Tyree, was that who caught that stupid ball in your goddamn head? You could win the other one. You could have won one of the Super Bowls, but did you have to ruin a perfect Sorry. But I have to apologize to all of the NFL minus the Giants for allowing Tom Brady, for my part in the role of allowing Tom Brady to do what he's done, because he needs to be stopped. I don't know what is in his kale or whatever he's eating. Spinach ice cream. I forget. There's a whole article once, and that's what everyone's like, journalism. There was an article in the Boston Globe about the food Tom Brady eats. So I'm almost positive. No, it was not spinach ice cream. It was avocado ice cream. Listen, I'm on a diet. Just don't eat ice cream. Avocado ice cream. That's gross. But the Cowboys had that game won. The Cowboys had that game won. And Tom Brady, and it's sort of like when, I don't know. Let's put it this way. Imagine you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and then they came to you and they're like, listen, a sugar daddy or sugar mama has offered me $1 million a year, and 16 Sundays out of the year, I gotta go do some dirty shit. You're not gonna want to. I'm gonna need to take a bath when I get back, but we got $1 million a year, no taxes. You wouldn't be happy about it, but you might be like, how old are they? They're not gonna want to do anything that crazy. It's $1 million a year. That's what Tom Brady did. Tom Brady was fucking a sugar mama daddy. Was I fucking Tom Brady in this scenario? We let it happen. I was talking with my buddy Mitchell on Patreon, and he's a Raider fan, and they brought up the snow game. Like Tom Brady, I don't know if that was, he obviously was good before them, but I feel like that's what started it. Like how they should have stopped Hitler in Munich, we should have stopped Tom Brady at the snow game. Listen, I'm no NFL referee. However, did I complain when we won that game and won our first Super Bowl? Or probably not the first one for the Patriots, I don't think, but the first one I remember. No, I didn't complain. I allowed it to happen because it was good for me. And we had 20 great years of Tom Brady minus the stupid fucking Giants. God, I hope Eli Manning. You know what? I like Eli Manning now more than I like Tom Brady. He knows what he did to us, And in that game, I'm not even really that upset about the game. He has a commercial now for a crypto website, whatever it is. Like he needs more money. He makes fun of knowing that he's a traitor to all of New England. He just laughed in our face. It was like that girlfriend who you let go and see a sugar daddy for $1 million a year, like calling you with like his dick in her mouth, like, look at this, ha ha ha. I'm sorry that Tom Brady deflated balls. I don't know if he did. I'm sorry that Tom Brady paid refs off. Probably not. It's so. And then, by the way, I used to not be mad at Rob Gronkowski. Rob, listen, I thought you were an affable goof who just wanted to play football with his friends. But what did you do in your year off? Because the last couple of years of you in New England, you ran the way like I run, and a little bit better. But you were still good, but you couldn't move as well as you used to. And suddenly, 3 years later, he was galloping up and down that field, jumping in the air. He looked like a ballerina catching touchdowns. So watch it, Gronk. You play goofy and funny and like you're a little bit like, I just play football with my friends. I got my eye on you, Gronk. But Tom Brady, I stand by the fact that I hope you have diarrhea every time you go poop. Like, and like the kind like where it itches after, like you can't wipe enough to feel clean, and then you take a shower, and then right when you get out of the shower, diarrhea again. And then like your butthole hurts a little bit for the rest of the day. That's what I hope. That's what I wish for Tom Brady. Nothing bad. My mom gets mad at me. I can't wish anything bad on anybody. And that's not good karma. But I feel like, and I don't want you to die from diarrhea, because apparently that happens in like remote countries. So I don't want you to die. In fact, I would love you to live forever, Tom. I would like for you to live to be 200. But your days are just filled with itchy buttholes. That's what I hope for Tom. Why, Tom? We loved you so much. We loved you so. We did. We were. It was like that line from The Office, like, when you were nothing but good to your hoe, but now you're a hoe. Don't love you no mo, or your hoe's not your hoe no mo. Whatever he said. Tampa Bay. At least you didn't go to the Giants, Tom. So thank you very much for that. And that's the end of my should I do it every episode where I just have a rant about how much Tom Brady hurt me? I'll have like a little chubby Lee doll and be like, show me where Tom Brady hurt you, and I'll just point to my heart. It's the worst. Okay, I'm done. But I am excited for football coming back. I really am. It's going to come back. By the time this comes out, the first week will be over, except for maybe Monday Night Football. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. As you know, the NFL is back in action, and so is the winning season at MyBookie. And this podcast is brought to you by MyBookie. With over $500,000 in contest prize money, winning season makes the big games better and the victories even sweeter. Head to MyBookie right now. Head to mybookie.ag and choose from a variety of boosts, contests, and promotions up for grabs, highlighted by the crown jewel of winning season, the famed MyBookie Super Contest. It only costs $10 to enter, and here's how it works. You pick 5 games against the spread every week, Each win earns you a point, and each point gets you closer to the grand prize. If you missed out on week 1, don't even sweat it because entries are still open, and all it takes is one solid week to get you back in the mix. Don't take my word for it. Join now and start your winning season with MyBookie today. In order to get started, all you need to do is make your first deposit at mybookie.ag and use promo code LEE to instantly receive double your deposit. So if you put in 100, you get 200. That's double your money to double your winnings with the first ever deposit with your first ever deposit using promo code LEE. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Thank you very much to MyBookie. And I have an interesting. I heard something interesting today. My dad and I were talking on the drive into my office, and my dad and I talk a lot, and he teases me because he doesn't tease me, but he's noticed that I tend to be a little bit of a negative Nancy. Not about everything, but I feel like I'm a little bit paranoid. And not like, oh, someone's at the door, but like, my first instinct is to always be like, okay, well, everything's going to go terrible. And when things go great, I'm surprised. I don't have the positive mindset of, oh, everything will go great. That would be nice, but I don't. And when we were talking today, he told me about this author, and his name is Clement Stone. And apparently he's written some like self-help books. I haven't read the books. Just heard about it today. But the thought that my dad told me about is that Clement Stone referred to himself as inverse paranoid. And what he meant by that is he always thinks that everyone's out to help him. And I don't know why, it just stuck in my head. Like I literally was it was an hour ago. And it just stuck in my head. And it happens all the time with everything. I think I told this story before, but one time with my ex, we went up to Big Bear, and we took edibles, and it was in the deep dark, not dark, but deepest days of my edible tolerance, and I took a good amount. I don't remember exactly how much I took, but I took enough, and we ordered Domino's, and it took a while to get there, and I'm not a complainer. I'll complain, but I don't like complaining to the restaurant or the store. I'm not that kind of person usually. But it was so late that I actually called. And then it showed up, and I took a couple bites, and it tasted like they had like taken powdered soap, and just instead of Parmesan cheese, they put powdered soap on the pizza. I had my ex try it. She's like, "You're crazy," and I was like, "No. You're crazy." She's like, "I think you're a little high." And I said, "Well, listen, you're wrong because I take edibles for a living." The driver or whoever at the Domino's was very angry with me for calling and complaining or just inquiring where the pizza was. So to get back at me, they put powdered soap on my pizza. And then I immediately proceeded to vomit all over an Airbnb, and my ex had to clean it up. Shout out to her. And it turned out I was just way too high. So the point of that story is they did not put soap on my pizza. I hope the next time you have pizza, it tastes like soap. I'm hoping not soap on it. I don't want to get sick. I just hope it tastes like soap. Sorry. But that's just a very... That paints a picture of how I get paranoid about everything. I get paranoid about work things, about... Like, I told the girl I'm dating now, or my girlfriend, we're not dating, that like early on, and even honestly further on into relationships, if like we have a fight, I will go and check on social media to make sure that A, I'm not blocked, and B, you're still following me. That I'm not proud to admit it, but that I do that quite often. We're not fighting. We really haven't fought. But that is something that will happen. And this whole thought of being inverse paranoid really stuck with me. And what I wanted to do today very quickly is just tell you 3 stories that you don't know about people that have helped me in my life. And I chose 3 groups of people, 2 groups and 1 individual person who helped me in LA. And obviously, Joey, there's a lot of people who aren't going to be included in this because a lot of you will know. And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, who is this chubby Jew? I used to be on a podcast called The Church of What's Happening Now, and Joey Diaz took a chance on me when I was fresh out of college and included me in his family, and we worked together for almost a decade. Amazing person to me. Steve Simone not only worked with me, but was an amazing friend, always there for me. Spent time with my mom, and I saw him in Florida. We still talk, and there's a lot of people like that. Actually, there aren't a lot of people like that, but Steve and Joey obviously are at the top of this list. But what I wanted to talk about today are 3, like I said, 2 groups of people and 1 individual person who helped me tremendously, and you have no idea who they are. So the first group I want to talk about are the group of people that I worked with at my first job in LA. And I worked at America's Funniest Home Videos. Still one of my best working life experiences ever. I'm indebted to Vin DeBona for the rest of my life. I have to write him a letter. I have to write him a note. I'm unhappy about the way that I left that job. He was so kind and generous to me. He hugged me as I graduated college because he's a trustee at the school, and I worked there for a year to year and a half, I think, something like that. And there was an online message board, I guess, for Emerson people. And when you got a new job, you posted it. And I got my first job after that job, and I just got overexcited and I posted it, and I didn't tell him first. Now he is the head of the show, head of the company. Probably doesn't remember this, but I know that he was like, oh, I think he emailed me or saw me and said, oh, I'm sorry to see you're leaving. And what I learned is I should have gone to him first and told him and thanked him. And I really haven't. I'm embarrassed. So Vin, as I'm sure you're not watching, but I hope you do know how grateful I am to you and everyone at AFV, Sharon Arnett, Michelle, I shouldn't give everyone's last name out. The executive producer, everyone at Vin DeBona Productions was amazing to me. At a time when they didn't need to be. But Sharon was great. Sharon was my direct boss, and she was wonderful. She is honestly probably the reason why I met Joey indirectly, because she allowed me to stay on working there. Because if you don't know, the way that most television shows work is there's a season. And the production, for some shows that they do, but for the majority of shows, they can go for as little as a month or 2, but like a full season of a show that I worked on, I think went for like 8 or 9 months, something like that, roughly throughout the year. And there was a period of time usually between seasons when you would go find another job or take some time off because it was a lot of work. And right out of college, I I got there to LA in January, and I think around April is right around the time when the season ends, and I think they come back in September. And I should have been not fired, but we'll call you in September. And Sharon didn't do that, and she kept me on even though I didn't have much to do. And I worked, but I also there were a lot of days where I didn't do much. And that's in that time where I met Joey. I found him online and wrote him a Facebook message. But Sharon was always very kind, got my family tickets to the show tapings, and offered me a job when that first job didn't work out. I could have, I without a doubt, I could have gone back to AFE when the church ended. If I had wanted to stay in LA, I have no doubt that I could have done something, or she would have at least helped me out as much as possible until I found something else. But the three main people that I want to talk about from AFE are Chris, Wayne, and Matt. Matt, oh God, I think he's 5-ish years older than me. And Chris and Wayne were probably in their mid to late 40s, I would guess, when I met them. And they had no idea. This was way before Joey. This was I interned at AFE the summer before I graduated, and then I came back in January, and they were very nice to me. Of course, they're guys, so we had so many jokes. Wayne used to really, like, we were really close, but he loved to, like, lovingly fuck with me. And a lot of what I would do, I'd be in a quiet edit bay for a lot of it. Sometimes I'd be doing other stuff, but I'd be in a quiet edit bay, and I would maybe have headphones on, or you're just doing random stuff, and you're all by yourself, so you get in the zone. And Wayne he had every room mapped out and knew where the floor would creak, and would sneak in and, like, get me on the side and, like, do that. And I was chubby, and I'm sure it was hysterical, but it got to the point where, like, every few seconds I would just look behind me, and I like Wayne. We just had a great time, and it's he really we talked a lot, and he talked to me about LA and how he started in the industry, and all of his jobs. And Wayne, he had a rent controlled apartment in Hollywood, and had, like, a really fun life. He just really, he was always going out, always having fun, and had a really good attitude about work. I feel like he had a good work-life balance. Of course, not everyone loves work all the time, but Wayne, he wasn't the richest guy in the world, but he had a lot of friends, and he made a good living there. But he something that I struggled with, and I still struggle with, is, like, always wanting to, like, that was a good example of me fucking up, because I was just so excited about getting the next job that I fucked up. And that's something that I don't think Wayne did. Wayne, until he unfortunately passed away, was still at that job, and it was a good job, and he was really good at it and took it seriously. But he also knew how to have fun, and was always fun to be around, always a laugh. And for me, a young kid, 22, 23, out of college, was just so kind to me, and we always had a great time. I got him all of them, Wayne, Chris, and Matt. When I left for my first job, I got them each a bottle of booze that they liked. And Matt was, and still is, a friend. but was he was, I guess, a boss, I would say. Not really. If he's listening to this or watching this, I don't know if he would say he's a boss. And actually, you know what? Let me pull it up. If you like, um, and I'm sorry, Matt. He told me, he showed me like drum and bass. I don't know if that's what he calls what he does, but I know he's a DJ. On Twitter, his name is Knifey, Knyphy. Give him a follow. He used to do a weekly show, like a DJ show. Like, he had a whole setup. He would stream before streaming was like a thing. Like, Matt was and he's an full on editor now. When I met him, he was an assistant editor, and he's full on editing like Netflix shows and other shows, and he has a kid and a beautiful wife. But we would have so much fun. Like, and he taught me a lot because he was really good at his job. But he took me out for my birthday. One of my, I think probably my first birthday in LA. I was working nights, and I would come in at like 7. He would be leaving. So when I got there, he's like, take your lunch break. And we went down to a place, I think it was called Liquid Kitty. I don't remember exactly where it was. It was on West Olympic, I think. And it was like a dive-ish bar. And I remember they were playing like black and white porn. And they had a drink special where you got a shot, I think, of Jameson, a PBR, and a cigarette. And I don't smoke, but he took me there, and I got hammered on my birthday. And he took me back to work, and I was just hammered at work the whole night of my birthday. But Matt was, we had a joke that he would sexually harass me. He's not gay. He has a wife and a kid, but like, he'd always come up and like rub my shoulders and like just get really like in my, like, it sounds like they're fucking with you, but with me, there's something about being fucked with that when you know that they love you, that I never felt like I was being bullied. It was just fun to come to work. And Matt, the thing that I loved about Matt was he always invited me to his house to watch UFCs, movies. We would go out to lunch. But Matt, in another life, could have been a chef. Matt, I think I told it on here, but if you've seen my stand-up, you know I have a joke about turkey. And Matt made probably the best turkey that I've ever had. One Thanksgiving he invited me to. I remember he cooked the turkey, but then he cut it up and cooked it in like a pan with like a turkey, not jus, but some liquid stock, turkey stock. That's what I was looking for. And I just remember seeing it bubbling, and like he had the turkey cut up, and it was just cooking in a pan, like a baking dish full of that stock. And it was the most moist, delicious turkey. He would smoke wings before anyone had a smoker in their backyard, at least to my knowledge. It wasn't big yet. He made the most. He would make his own blue cheese. What else did he make? He made wings a lot. He barbecued a lot. He made tons of food. He made this green chili once for an office thing, and as a fat dude, having someone who was a master chef just make all that stuff. He made Asian wings. His wings were really fucking good. And just inviting me over when I didn't really have friends in LA was just the best. He was the best. And our birthdays are right next to each other, and it was just he was one of the best people that I knew in LA. And the last guy that I'm going to talk to you about, him and Matt were very close. His name is Chris, and unfortunately, as similar to Wayne, Chris passed away tragically. But Chris was very special to me. He was my first mentor, and I don't think he was meant to be, and he did. I think he would laugh at me if I called him a mentor, But I'll never forget when I was interning there. He came into an edit bay, and I think this was right around that time. I I was still young, dumb, and full of full of hope, and someone at America's Funny Stone Videos was like a salsa competition, but not a competition. It was like a fundraiser that they were doing some sort of dance thing, and that I think they had cameras and they needed someone to help film and edit it. And they asked if anyone wanted to help, and I said yes, and I was editing it after my shift, and I remember the edit bay I was in, and Chris came in, and we were friendly, but I was still fairly new there. And he came and he's like, you're doing a good job. I was talking to Sharon, the boss, and she's happy with your work, and I think you're doing a good job, man. And he was there were only 2 editors there. They would bring other people in, but Manny, who was also great. Manny, I also helped film his son's graduation, but Manny, for the first 25 to 30 years of America's Funniest Stone Videos, which, by the way, you need to watch America's Funniest Stone Videos if you haven't in a while. But Manny edited every episode for like over 25 years. I'm almost positive. Every episode. And he edited Manny would edit the full show, like the studio audience and putting the clips in. But what Chris would do is he would edit together the packages of clips that the studio audience would see. And Chris, the funny thing about LA is, or I don't know if it's just LA or whatever, but when like they would have hour-long lunches, and an hour was the starting point for how long it could be. And Chris was a very hard worker, and I don't think he'd be upset about me saying this, but there were times when he and Matt and myself included, it's not like I wouldn't do it. We would take a little bit longer lunches, and there would always be there were a couple places that had bars we would go, and we would drink, and there was the high point of food trucks in LA. So I remember Chris's Bay. That's one of like my happy places. But especially when I was interning, and even when I was working there at the beginning, if I didn't have much to do, I would go sit in Chris's Bay, and I would sit on the side, and he would be in front of me editing, and I would just watch, and I would ask questions, and we would have fun and talk, but I would ask him like how he's doing something, why he's doing it a specific way, how to do that, and he would tell me. And then the lunches, the reason I brought up the lunches is we'd drink, I wouldn't get, I'm a little tipsy. I don't think any of us were hammered. But even if we didn't drink, we would eat, and then Chris would take a nap. He would lay down on his couch, and there were couches in offices. And he would let me take a stab at editing the clips. And like he would pretend he was sleeping, but sometimes he would be like, do it a little bit differently. And he was the first person to like really let me take a stab at editing. And it meant the world, because like I said, I always wanted to be further ahead than I was. And just to taste of what like a real editor could do was just so fun and exciting and special for me. And Chris actually, he offered when I came, because like I said, I interned there for the summer before I graduated, and I finished school in December because while I was interning, I was taking classes online, and I was coming back in January, and he said, you can stay with me, when you get here. And I was such a painfully shy person that I said I didn't want to bother him. So I got a crappy hotel for my first week in LA. But just the fact that he offered that he was just always. I would call him even when I left America's Funniest Home Videos. I would always call him when I was taking another editing job, and I would tell him, like, there were a couple of times where I had a couple offers to different shows, or if I was at a show and I had a offer to leave that show, I would call him and tell him about it, and he would say, like, listen, I can't make the decision for you, but he would give me guidance, and he also took me once because he's such a hard worker. He had always had multiple editing jobs, and he would moonlight at the Cops TV show. He would go work a full day at AFV and then go work at Cops a lot. And he took me over there one night. And I'm sorry if I'm getting your name wrong. It was an interesting, I think his name was Mitsu. I'm almost positive. The guy who ran post-production for Cops, first name was Mitsu. And Chris took me over to meet him, which is just, that's how you get jobs. Is like that's the person who would have been hiring me. I never worked on Cops, but he took me over. They showed me the editing rooms, and he introduced me to that guy who could have maybe someday hired. Just it had no benefit to him at all. But Chris was just that kind of guy, and I miss him dearly. But Wayne, Chris, and Matt were just outrageously nice to me. They were just very helpful. And it's just a proof of not everyone's out to get you, and there are good people in this world, a lot of them. Before I tell you the next one, I'd want to thank our sponsor, another one of our sponsors for this week. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends and your friends at Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. It's back to school time, and we want to make sure that you pack the essentials to have the best year yet. The Manscaped 4th Generation Performance Package is just that. Things are opening up. Be ready for whatever is the daily schedule for you. It's the perfect package for your package, and it includes the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, go for the valedictorian of ball trimming. See, that's funny. Valedictorian of ball trimming, and join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com and using code SYATT, SYATT. Listen, whether you have someone you're dating or not, you never know when you might get a blowjob or when someone's going to want to see your dick, and you don't want anyone to have a hairball. You don't want it to smell bad or look bad. You don't want to have ear hair, nose hair problems. Look, I trimmed my beard this week, and it makes a whole difference. You want it to be nice. You want it to look good, and the Performance Package 4.0 is what you want to get. I love that they have the Lawnmower 4.0. They have the Weed Whacker, which I love. It's an ear and nose hair trimmer. They have the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver. It's a great package. Listen, do me a favor. Go to manscaped.com. Just go check out everything they have. Whether you get the Performance Package 4.0 or just individual pieces, they make great products. Go to manscaped.com, use code SYATT, and get 20% off plus free shipping. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code SYATT, SYATT, at manscaped.com. This year, graduate with a degree in clean balls from Manscaped. Thank you very much to Manscaped. So the next one is sort of short, and but it leads into the last one. Like I said, so I left AFV, and I went to a job that I didn't like, and I actually, the day I don't know, did I quit? My memory's a little hazy for obvious reasons, and either it was the day I was going to quit, or no, I think I literally had just quit. I'm almost positive I'd already quit that. Put my notice in. I didn't just quit, but I put my notice in. And I had called, because I had called Sharon back at AFV, and she was going to let me work there again for at least a little bit. And I got a call. I remember I was walking on Sunset. I was going to get dinner, I think, before my work shift because I had gone in to give my notice. And I got a call from a guy whose first name was Laszlo. They have great names in L.A. He was a British dude, and he called me and he said, "Hi, my name is Laszlo, and I got your resume from someone. I still to this day, almost a decade later, have no idea who it was, and I work at Hell's Kitchen, the TV show, and we need assistant editors, and I'd love to have you come in to talk to me about it. I do, and mind you, I literally had just quit a job, and he said, unfortunately, I just want to let you know before you come in that all we can offer you is $12.75 a week." And I was coming from a job making $9.75 a week, and I I'm still to this day surprised that I was able to keep it cool. But I did. And I said, I think I'll be able to make that work. And I went in and I interviewed and I got the job. I still remember it was an office in Beverly Hills, a really cool office. We had I think we had half of the full floor. Huge show. It was still to this day the biggest show I've ever worked on. I mean, I haven't worked in TV for a long time. But I'm going to talk about Hell's Kitchen in a minute. But the person I want to talk to, and this is why this portion's a little short, is someone who I don't know, never asked for recognition, and had nothing. I don't know if it was someone I had a lunch. I think I've always had a guess, and there's one very nice lady who worked at MTV. I don't know if she worked at Emerson. I don't know how I met her. I think what it is, I think I applied to a job with her, and she invited me to get lunch. We hit it off a little bit, and I never worked for her, but I think it was her. But I still don't know. I tried to contact her, and I never found out who. But someone randomly just gave my resume to someone, and on the day that I quit a job that I hated, not AFV, that was the job after AFV, I got 12. I mean, I would love $12.75 a week right now. $12.75 a week to me. I was like maybe 2 years ish out of college, a year and a half out of college. I was on Hell's Kitchen on Fox. I went from ABC to a shitty TV show on a small cable network to one of the biggest shows in the world. It's still going on, and it changed my life. It was one of the best periods of my life. I worked on season 11 and 12. If you look at seasons 11 and 12, not every episode, but I do have my name is in the credits for a couple of episodes because they had teams of assistant editors. And that is the third group I wanted to talk about today. Or the second group, a third thing of people who, show you that in being an inverse paranoid person is a good job. A good thing not a good job, a good thing to be. And it was just the anniversary of it. I'm going to have to try to reach out. I lost touch with the people that I worked with. Actually, you know what's funny? One of the guys, and he I don't think he was involved in this, but so I worked nights at Hell's Kitchen. And so the reason why the reason why assistant editors work a lot of nights in television production is there are editors who edit the show during the day, but you need to have work done to give the editors their footage. And so it's called grouping. That's mainly what assistant editors do. There's other stuff. There's tech support and there's other small things you do. But on that show, the main thing that I did was called grouping. And if you've never seen Hell's Kitchen, it's a reality TV show where like 20-ish contestants come on and cook in a restaurant with Gordon Ramsay, and they live in a house together. And they're filming all day on 20-plus cameras, and they have 20-plus people with audio. And they have to it would be way too hard to edit that if you had to like go and find the same spot at different angles. So there's a way in editing systems to take it. It's called grouping, where you group together all the clips, video clips and audio clips, and then it looks like a split screen. So you can go back and forth and you can change shots and change audio a lot easier. So that's mainly what I did. And there was a huge group, like, God, probably at least 10, if not more, assistant editors, I would think, doing that at night. But Jed Goodman, that's his name. Jed Goodman is one of them. But if you're a UFC fan, you'll recognize that name because he I don't know how he did it. When I worked with him, he was executive producing a TV show as well. He worked graveyard. I worked 7 to 5. He worked midnight to 9 a.m. But he now, if you are ever watching the UFC, I think it's Jed I. Goodman, he'll do tweets and like Ariel Helwani retweets him, but then the UFC will put him on the screen. Somehow he got into that. I don't know. I think he still works in TV. But he was one of the guys that I worked with. But that was a great time in my life. There was a guy that I worked with. That was one of the many times I lost weight. And Fat Sick and Nearly Dead had came out, and we did a juice fast together. I lost like 70 pounds in 25 days, and it was crazy. But we all became very close. And it's the I think probably the 10-ish or 9-ish year anniversary of one of the best, funniest stories that ever happened to me. I was working with Joey at this point, and we had a live we did one live podcast. It wasn't even in front of an audience. We streamed it from Nerdist, which is no longer there, on Sunset Boulevard. And we took edibles, and I was obviously high, and I got to Hell's Kitchen, and I went into my editing bay to do work, and I was just really high, but I was trying to do my work, not getting much done, and they came in, and there's a video out there. I'll have to see if I can find it somewhere. There's a video out there, and it's like Lee Syatt's unbirthday. I don't know if I can find. I'll see. I don't maybe because I think someone would have found it. If you can find it, let me know. I'll look and see if I can find it, and I'll tweet it out. But it wasn't my birthday. I don't think it was even close to my birthday. And for some reason, all the other assistant editors planned this, and and it just so happened to be on the day that I was high as fuck in my editing bay, and they burst in. And I think they put they put like cake in my face or whipped cream in my, like they got me with that. But then they had like a little party. They sang happy birthday. They gave me a bunch of like goofy like dollar store gifts, some of which I still even have. But it was like the most fun I've ever had. They threw me like a legit, they had cupcakes. They threw me a legit birthday party when it just wasn't my birthday. And it seems like a little small thing to do, but as someone who was such a huge dork all throughout my life, and I always felt like people didn't want to be my friends. Why would they want to be your friend? They don't. Even the friends you have don't like you, and it was it was a really happy time in my life, and it was just. It just showed all these stories today. Just show me that there are, because I get negative, and I'm trying to be better about it. But there are good people in this world, and all these stories just prove it. And on that point, I do want to make a point, very quickly. Last week's episode, I talked about the Jewish high holidays, and they're not my favorite time of year. I don't like going to temple. I don't disagree with that. But I feel like I was a little bit too negative about it. And I went this last week for Rosh Hashanah, and I haven't been in over 10 years, and my mom loves it. and she didn't hear it. She's not mad at me. But I was at services for the first time in 10 years with my aunt, uncle, and my mom, and enjoyed would be a strong word. I wouldn't say I loved being there, but being 33, and I probably haven't been since I was maybe in my early 20s, but yeah, I think I probably went back during college for it. So probably at least 11 years since I've been, and I was able to appreciate it a lot more. I was able to appreciate it because I got to go with my mom, and I know how not upset, but disappointed she was when I couldn't come back from LA to go to the services, and to have her enjoy it, to be there with my aunt and uncle, and to like have those 2 hours to like sort of I'm not a religious person. I'm really not, but to like reflect on my life and to like just think positive thoughts about people was nice. So I want to apologize. No one got upset at me. And I think it was clear that I was joking around, but I did feel like I got a little bit too negative on last week's episode about that. And I wanted to apologize if anyone was upset, or just I wanted to just admit that I think I got a little bit too negative about that. And this week's episode is all about positivity. So please accept my apology. Lastly, very quickly, I do want to thank Sheath Underwear. This episode is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. To celebrate the 100 pounds that I lost, Sheath sent me their underwear. It's great for guys like me. They have a 2-pouch compartment. It's soft. I look like I have a pair that looks this red. I look like a chubby Santa Claus when I wear it. I love it. They're great looking. They're comfortable. It's good when you're working out. You don't flop around like an elephant just with a trunk going. I have a little trunk, but it still flops a little bit, and especially when you lose weight, the more of the trunk shows. And I love Sheath Underwear, and I love it because it's an American company and it's a veteran-owned company. U.S. Army soldier Robert Patton had the idea for Sheath on his second tour in Iraq, and I love that they support me, and I love to support them. And it's it's a small company. They're not the big conglomerates. Veteran owned. So do me a favor. Go to Sheath Underwear. Okay, go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Syatt to get 20% off of your first order. Every order comes with Sheath Underwear's 100% money back guarantee. You're not going to want it. They have shirts, they have sweatshirts, they have a lot of great things, but you want the comfortable underwear. That's sheathunderwear.com, promo code Syatt. Get Sheath Underwear and let them support your balls. Thank you to Sheath Underwear. Thank you very much to Manscaped. Don't forget manscaped.com and use code Syatt to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com using code Syatt. And also, thank you very much to mybookie.ag. Don't forget, go to mybookie.ag today and use promo code Lee, and you're going to instantly receive double your deposit. That's your first ever deposit is doubled at mybookie.ag when you use promo code Lee. Thank you to all of my sponsors this week. Thank you to you for watching and listening and supporting me. And I hope if you take anything from this episode, that if you ever think the worst is always happening, to know that it's not. And there are good people out there, and you're one of them. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I'll be back next week on the What Was I Thinking podcast.